this brand new video. In this video, you're going to be looking at another coding challenge, and specifically in JavaScript. So this is it's a challenge whereby you're going to have two solutions for it, and yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. So I would like to remind you people to continue subscribing to this channel. You can also share it to other people so that they can watch these interesting videos I make. The other thing I would like to remind you is that you have to keep on practicing. Yes, because in programming, if you don't practice, you won't benefit anything. So if you're kind of a person who just watches the videos and don't go to an extra mile of practicing, you won't benefit at all. Okay. So please let us. I'm going to open my VS Code and go through the instructions for today's challenge. Okay. So this is called a chunk. It's a chunk challenge. So I'm going to first read out the instructions for you so that you can get a general idea of how we're going to be doing this challenge. Okay. So chunked array coding challenge is one that requires us to make chunks of size n from an original array. So we have a function. So basically here we're having a function that takes in an array and the chunk size. So the function takes in an array and the chunk size. If you can look at this example below, this first example, and on line 5, I'm having the chunk method taking in the array from 1 to 4, and the chunk size is 2. So what does the chunk size mean? The chunk size means that from this array, I want you to generate sub-arrays of size 2. Okay? So here the output should be an array whereby you're having another sub-arrays. We're having other sub-arrays within this array. So these sub-arrays are having size 2 in each array. So that's what the 2 implies in this function. The same applies for on line 6 here, whereby you're having an array from 1 to 5, and we are basically generating the sub-arrays of size 2. So we shall do the same, but the only difference here is that we shall be remaining with the 5 here. So 5 will be in its own sub-array. Okay, so we shall have 1 and 2 in its own sub-array, then 3 and 4 in its own, then 5 will be alone in its array. The same goes for this last example here, whereby you're having 1 to 6. Okay, and the chunk size is 3. So here we shall be generating sub-arrays. In each array we shall be having 3 elements. So that's why we're having here an array inside here we are starting from 1, 2, and 3, and another one starting from 4, 5, and 6. So basically that's what we're going to be doing in this first solution of the day. So the first solution is going to be using an iterative method. It's an iterative solution. First, we have to create an empty array which is going to store these sub-arrays. That's the first step we have to do here. So I'll declare a variable called const chunk is equal to an empty array. So it's this empty array here I've declared which will be storing our sub-arrays. Okay. So after declaring that, the second step shall be we have to loop through the array, and for that we're going to use a for of loop. This for of loop will help us to loop through the array, and for each element in that array we do something, we do some computation there. Alright, so we shall declare a variable let element, or we can call it let num, which is the number, which stands for number. Let number, or let me just call it element let element of array. So with this statement we can be accessing, we shall be able to access each element of the array. Okay, so here we're iterating through this array we are receiving here as a parameter. Okay, so the other thing we're going to be doing is to create a variable here inside the for loop, and this variable will restore our last chunk in this chunked variable here. So this last variable will store the last chunk within this array. Okay, which is equal to shall be accessing chunk, which is initially an empty array. Then here we access the last chunk through chunked by accessing the method the length minus dot length minus 1. Okay, so here we're accessing the last chunk within this chunked array. Okay, so that last chunk we shall be basing on that last chunk without adding more elements or create another brand new chunk on its own. So if we can access the last chunk, then we shall be able to determine if in case the last chunk hasn't yet reached the size we want, we can add another element. But in case it has reached the size we want, then we shall have to create a brand new chunk. Okay, so this last variable will be very important for us. So after that we shall be using conditional statements here. So we are going to be checking the last chunk within our chunk array. So in case this last chunk does not exist, does not exist, or if it exists, but then the length last dot length is our size we are passing here, is a chunk size. If the chunk size, so this statement is telling us if the last variable is not there, the last if in case the last chunk does not exist, or if it exists but then its length is the size we are passing here, then here we are going to be pushing a new chunk in our chunked array. So in our chunked array we shall be pushing a new chunk with our element here. Okay, else if we don't have if we have the chunk, else if we have the chunk but then the size is not yet there, the size is not yet full, then we shall just be pushing to our last variable, last dot push element. Okay, so after that at the end of our for loop we return our chunked array, return chunked, because that's what we want. Okay, so as simple as that. If I'm explaining more a little bit, here first we create a variable called chunk, and this chunk is initialized to an empty array first. So this chunked variable here, this chunked array, will be storing our sub arrays we generated from our original array. So after creating that variable, you loop through the array. After looping through the array, then you create a variable which accesses the last chunk in our chunked array. If you now have access to the last chunk within your chunked array, you can then base on that to check if it's not there, or if it's there but then the length is equal to our size here, then you just push a new chunk with this element. Okay, but in the case it's there but then the size is not the size is not yet there, as in it is missing maybe some other elements to reach our size, then we shall just push that element within that last array. Okay, so at the end we shall just return our chunked array. So let us just test out this first method here, the solution, and see if we've succeeded in this coding challenge. So to do that, we just console.log, you call our method chunk, then you pass in your array. Our array will be starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, assuming we're having those arrays. Then our size, we want a size of 2. So let us test out the solution through our terminal here. So we go to your terminal. From that terminal, we shall be able to execute our JavaScript from there. So to execute our function, we shall just type node, the command node chunk.js file. With this command, you'll be able to execute the method here you're seeing, the chunk method. When you press enter, boom, you see your chunks here. Your chunks have been created with size of 2 in each chunk. So here the first chunk we're having 1, 2, the second chunk we're having 3 and 4, then the last chunk we're having 5. So have you seen the power of this variable here, the last variable here? This last variable here is really important in this method here. If you, in case you have access to the last chunk, you can based on that either to add in more elements in that chunk or to create a brand new chunk on its own. Brilliant. So let us test out another one. Let us test out this, blah blah blah, like that. Then you pass a size of 4. Let us use 4 here this time around. And once you execute node chunk.js file, boom, you see you're having 4 elements in each chunk. 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this one chunk. And then you have 5, 4, 56, and the 78 in this one chunk. Wonderful. So this method is a little bit easier to understand. According to me, it's a little bit easier to understand. But then I have another method. In case you haven't understood this method, let me hope you'll be able to understand the second method. Okay, let me first comment out this solution. Just comment it out here, and we'll create another function here up for our second solution, which is a little bit challenging and hard to come up with. But you never know, most of you might be understanding this better. So let us call it const chunk is equal to our method here. So here this one receives an array, and then the size, yeah. Okay, let us start out with this second method. One of the first things we are going to do again in this second solution is to create our empty array, which is called chunked. And the use of this empty array is to store our sub arrays. Okay, so const chunked is equal to an empty array. Okay, the other variable we're going to need is an index. So create another variable called const index. Let us call it let it be a let variable. Let keyword let index be equal to 0. So in this second method, we're going to be using a while loop, and we are going to be using a while loop starting from index. We're going to be using a while loop while this index is less than our length of the array. While this index is less than array.length. So as long as our index is less than the length of the array, then we shall be doing something inside here, inside this block of code. So first of all, we're going to be using a slice method. And we all know what the slice method does. If we can go to our terminal and try out how the slice method does briefly. So we're going to go to the Node.js console through this command. Then within here, we're going to be executing some JavaScript. Okay. So assuming we're having this array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we were to slice this, slice, so we're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 is at index 0, 2 is at index 1, 3 is at index 2, 4 is at index 3, then 5 is at index 4. So assuming we want to slice this array from index 0 2 to 3. What do you think will be the output of this execution? So the output of this execution will be that we shall be slicing out this array, and then we're getting 1, 2, and 3. So this will give us an output of elements starting at index 0, 1, 2, but it will leave out the element at index 3. So that's what this will this will execute. Okay, you see. So you're accessing elements from index 0 but not including 3 to index 3 but not including index 3. So that's what we're going to be using in this while loop statement here. So here we're going to be slicing. First we're going to slice the array the slice. We want to slice it from index, which is initially 0, to index plus our size. Index plus size. So the result of this sliced array will later be pushed into our chunked array. So we shall push this into our chunked array like so. Chunked dot push like that. Okay. Then at the end we shall just return our chunked array. Chunked return chunked. But before we do that, our while loop won't execute very well if we don't increment the index variable. So at the end of this, we increment our index variable by adding it to the size. Index plus is equal to size. So this will return us the very solution here, the same solution we got for method 1. The same answer we got in the method 1 shall be the same in method 2. Oh, sorry. So let me go to my terminal and execute this out and see. Non-active file. So let me clear this. Oh, okay. Clear the console. Then execute node chunk.js file. Boom. You see, we're having 4 chunks because we specified here that we should get an output of sub arrays having elements of length 4, of size 4. If we were to reduce this to 1 to that, and maybe want a size of 2, if we execute this again, boom, wonderful. So thank you for watching this video. Let me hope it was so important to you. Let me hope you've learned a lot from this. Let me hope you've learned new techniques, and let me hope that it will make you understand more in JavaScript. So I'd like to remind you to subscribe again, like, share this video so that I can create more wonderful videos like this. Bye bye. We'll meet in the next video, hopefully. Yeah.